that's why Carolina's in Chapel Hill and USC's in California. And the university in this state always has been, always will be, Clemson. Print that, tweet that.
And I hope they come in here undefeated. That's what I told you before the game. Our team believes. Our team believes. They got heart. We got greatness in us. They say we can't do it. What they say now?
Down go the champs. Auburn's 17-game win streak comes to an end.
We got greatness in us. So I told them, you got greatness in you, but you got to make a decision to be great. They made a decision to be great today. And I couldn't think of a better place to end this streak. It's Death Valley, South Carolina, baby.
And now it's time for TigerNet Talk, presented by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty.
They got the coaches back, and they have each other's back.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back in, Clemson Tiger fans, to another edition of TigerNet Talk, episode number 188, kicking off the 2013 season. The Tigers have been on the field just a couple of days already, and I tell you what, the feeling is in the air. I know there are so many of you who enjoy high school football, and I can remember thinking back to those days. We had Raymond Priester on. I've got a brand new show. Got to tell you all about that. And just some of the changes that are going to be happening here with TigerNet Talk. But the other day, Raymond Priester was on my show that's on 560 The Team in Columbia. And Raymond and I were talking about the old days, how when that freshly cut high school football grass, that smell was in the air. No matter what stadium you went to when you were younger, when you first fell in love with football, that's kind of the feeling that I have surrounding myself right now. It's just such an awesome thought that in less than a month, you're going to know all the talk, all the off the season good feelings about certain players, and is this guy developing? Did he do the work in the off season? You're closing in on the day, and it's a great thing. Thank you to everybody for being here. I see Chris, RC, Clemson Swag, TigerNet, Ryan, a bunch of other guests in there. I know we're on the front page of TigerNet, and first off, thank you again for stopping by. But let me fill you in on some things if you haven't been with us in a while. And we took a little break. We had to take a break. We had so much going on here, and I kind of left things hanging at the end of Clemson Hotline, which was a show we used to do, a Sunday night show that we used to do. And then we, of course, used to do TigerNet Talk during the week on Wednesday nights. Well, TigerNet Talk is going to sort of morph into Clemson Hotline in the coming months. Clemson Hotline typically runs 52 minutes and 50 seconds. And this program could run, previously, TigerNet Talk could run about any time. And tonight we're not going to go that long. Once we get into the full swing, though, TigerNet Talk will become a 52-minute and 50-second program that can potentially be put out on radio stations across the state of South Carolina and beyond. It's going to kind of be a joint venture between myself and CRM Sports. I didn't want to necessarily leave them behind. I felt kind of bad about it because they give me a great opportunity with that show. Obviously, TigerNet's given us a big platform. And then when we had the opportunity and were approached by Clear Channel Media to do a Clemson show in Columbia, Clemson Sports Talk, we had to jump on board with that. But trying to figure out how to maintain Clemson Hotline and TigerNet Talk, just it wasn't going to work out if we didn't get rid of one of those shows. So what I'd like to see happen is, and hopefully you will enjoy what we're going to try and change up and do around here with this show, is Sunday nights I kind of want to make this a little bit more caller-driven, a little bit more of a recap show, because so many of those shows will be following Clemson football games. And I know that right now we're not following one, and over the next few weeks we won't be. But I'd love to have you calling in after that Georgia game on what I believe the day will be the 1st of September. So on the 1st of September, I'd love to get you calling in, get a little reactionary type show, good or bad, indifferent, your thoughts, your feelings on the program. And we'll throw out some topics here and there. But generally speaking, throughout the week, we're going to continue to try and bring great guests. We had Danny Ford on Clemson Sports Talk just a few weeks back. We're also getting those podcasts out now. You can find them in iTunes. There are a couple of shows missing here and there, and if you're in Columbia and you want to listen from 6 to 8 p.m. and you turn to 560 and you don't hear us, you hear the Braves, that's because the contract currently reads that they have to play the Braves ahead of me. When the Braves aren't playing, we'll be on. So, for example, August the 8th, we're on. August the 15th, we're on. Now, if you wonder, well, are you only doing 2 shows? No, no, no. We are online each and every evening from 6 to 8. You can listen to it on 560theteam.com, or if you have a smartphone via the iHeartRadio application, just find 560. You can listen to us there from 6 to 8. So it's a completely different move for me. Getting into the radio business, uh, there's a lot more time involved, obviously, when you're doing a 2-hour daily show. But we want to have the best Clemson sports show anywhere. It doesn't matter where you live. I want you to be able to listen to us whether you're in Charleston, Columbia, Greenville, Fort Mill, Augusta, Charlotte, Hilton Head. So spread the word. Let people know. We're changing up the hashtag. You can look below right here. The good news about the radio, is there is no video. Right here down below me, hashtag CST560 is how you can get to us during the program. I saw Chris. You can follow him on Twitter. He's at CU Tailgater. He was giving me some grief for running a little bit late this evening. And I'll be honest with you, the reason I was running late, and this is the truth, is that I've had some issues with my computer every once in a while, and I think it's now a Windows update because I've started to notice my laptop doing the same thing, freezing randomly, completely. Computer, keyboard, you can't do anything. You have to completely restart. And I'm pretty tech savvy. I did a complete reinstall of the operating system over the weekend, still doing the same thing when I got to the updates, the recent updates. So I'm just not sure if it's a driver or what, but I had to reinstall Flash, and that kind of put me a little bit behind the gun. I try to stay out in the lead on that stuff, but I guess wasn't able to get it done quite in time this evening. Again, hashtag CST560. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Clemson Sports. Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Where do we begin? Do you start with the silly Guardian helmets that are protecting the players? Is that where you want to go? They look a little bit like a character off of a Mario video game to me, the Koopa Troopa or whatever, with those helmets on. And the funny thing about Clemson wearing them is that I knew South Carolina was going to wear them. That news was out. I had read an article about these helmets and the Guardian caps, and I just wondered, I said, uh, are more teams going to do it? Are there going to be more teams who are going to get involved with that? And I was a little bit surprised, to be honest with you, to see Clemson wearing them. Not to say that I think there's anything wrong with them. I think it's good. I mean, if you're talking about reducing concussions, reducing injuries, and as Dabo Swinney put it, if you're saving one guy that can play and not be out because of something that happened at practice, that's good. But you hear some players complaining about the neck, that their neck's hurt. And I think what that is, more than anything, is the response. It's kind of like when your boss gives you a new form to fill out. And you hate filling it out because it's just a pain in the rear end to have to take care of it. And nobody in the whole entire office wants to take care of it. And they're like, here's this new form. And you're like,
well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard of.
You just think it's completely stupid to have to fill that out. I think some of the initial response that you saw from the players, my neck's hurting, they're heavy, they're hot, and these things were actually supposed to cool the helmets more, keep them cooler. Now, most of the time they were in the indoor practice facility, not the entire time, but I kind of wondered if maybe it has something to do with the lack of wind, but you would assume indoors, air conditioning, even if the doors were open, that it would be okay. But I think that's just the initial response to it. I really believe that as they go on, as they start to get used to it a little bit, there won't be the negative response from the players. It would be like if they said, okay, guys, you have to wear mittens today while we play because we need to protect your fingers. You're going to have the guys that go, well, coach, these mittens, they're slowing us down. We can't grab the football. We can't handle it as well. So I get that side of the equation completely. I think it's just a phase they're going through, and once they really get used to it, they won't recognize the difference. And I wonder if when they go into games and they take them off and they're a little bit lighter, and I know these things, it's not like these things are 25 pounds, but when they're a little bit lighter, if the guys will go, oh, okay, yeah, this feels good, this feels natural. And yeah, I look better than on the radio. You got that right. You got that right, Craig. The ratings of the radio show would be through the roof if I had video, I guess. And I've thought about doing some video from up there, but so much else is going on in studio and getting my head and hands literally wrapped around everything that's in there. It's been unique. It really has, and I know for a fact, and I said it on the radio, and I'll say it here. Without you guys who came here, were the first listeners, the people who downloaded the podcast edition of the show, wouldn't be any Clear Channel show, wouldn't be a Clemson Sports Talk, the number one rated Clemson sports show in Columbia, South Carolina. And that's a fact. But we get to close the evenings down. All day long, the other stations in that town can spit all their venom about Clemson, and the fans could call in and say what they want about your Tigers, and they can put Clemson down, and we're not there to be their punching bag. Are we going to let them have a little fun? Yeah, sure, I'll let them have a little fun. The Gamecocks have earned that right now. They've won 4 straight. If they want to talk about those 4, that's fine. I can deal with that. But we're not there to just be a punching bag. We're there to deliver. If you missed one of the first episodes, a guy called in and said, let me tell you what you are, Swan. You're a 4-time loser. I said, sir, I prefer to think of myself as a 65-time winner, but thank you for calling the show. So that's kind of where we are and where we're going. It's really been an unbelievable start for me and just trying to get used to it. I think just like each and every one of you, though, the Georgia Bulldogs are on my mind, and I truly think that this is going to be one of the biggest opening games Clemson's ever had. And I don't just mean that in regards to where these two teams are ranked or who the opponent is. I think when you look at the circumstances surrounding this game and what it could mean for this season and for this team, I don't remember another game that's matched up to this. You could go back and people will harp on, and we've talked about that 2008 game against Alabama, who was, I believe, ranked 24th at the time. But that pales in comparison to what you'll get now in Death Valley, a night game, ESPN. You're talking about having the game day ambiance around you, just the complete. And where you hope this doesn't go badly is you've got 3-4 weeks of hype to build up to it, and ESPN is going to be talking about it more and more. You see Kevin Carter putting Taj Boyd at the top of his Heisman Trophy watch list, and those positive feelings and the good talk are going to be coming down. And I'm not completely against what Sammy Watkins had said in the past about Georgia and beating the mess out of them. I like confidence. What did you want him to say? We're going to roll over and hopefully not get beat. I know we had some people who were listening to the podcast editions of the show, and some people even watching the video versions on YouTube. And I want to tell you, if you're watching those versions of the show, here's the deal. They're not live. I'm not live. I had a guy call me. He kept calling. He was getting angrier. He asked me, he said, you keep asking for me to call, but you're not taking my call. So that number is always open, 803-450-0086. And that gets us here in studio. You can leave a message. We can put it into the next show. If you think I'm an absolute moron, great. Let me know. If you think I'm a genius, I'd love to hear from you too. There's also a leave voicemail feature over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. And typically this show is streaming over there. We're doing a little work underneath on that site, and today I just didn't get in there to plug it in. But I do want to thank the guys over at TigerNet for getting our show up on the front page, and they're going to continue to try and do that for us throughout the weeks to remind you about the show over on 560theteam.com, and remember, also on iHeartRadio. But, yeah, the Tigers are out on the field. That feels good, and it's interesting to note the news that we heard just a little bit earlier today about Martavis Bryant and his potential move to the boundary. I talked a little bit about that on my show the other week, and I'll tell you why I'm not surprised at all with this move, if in fact it is a legitimate move. Stay with us here for more TigerNet Talk.
Georgia, we on the grind, Georgia, all the time. It ain't nothing on my mind, but Georgia, we ain't playing with you. We
Clemson Tiger fans have a show of their own.
The thing that you like if you're a Clemson fan is that as good as this offense is, there are a lot of teams that you could just flat out go out on the field and outscore.
It's Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan. Weeknights 6 to 8 on 560 The Team.
Before going on vacation, you need to know what to pack. Preparing for your financial future is similar. Without proper planning, you could very well be left out in the cold. Raymond James financial advisor and certified financial planner Chris Benson can offer you a variety of investment solutions designed for your specific needs. For more information, call Chris at 864-681-1560, located in downtown Lawrence. Raymond James Financial Services, member of FINRA and SIPC. Life well planned.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Can't do it. Do you say that about your dentist? Let me tell you about G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove. They're located on Highway 1 between I-20 and I-26. I recently had a crown done, and it was a piece of cake. With TVs and headphones in every room and digital x-rays done in a flash, you can relax while their wonderful staff takes care of your needs. 803-957-2297. Tell them you heard about them right here on Clemson Sports Talk and receive $50 off your first visit. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
Grow up and I'd settle down. There was 10,000 girls up in Tiger Town, and it was heaven to me.
Right back at it here on TigerNet Talk, listening to a little music about Clemson.
With my fake ID and watch Doug McCormick rock TDs on a Friday night.
Oh, yeah, man alive. Cody Webb killing it there with turning 4 years into 5, or like I did, I turned 4 years into 7. But there was nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. The 14-semester plan, as they called it, karaoke Ed Miller like to call it. By the way, I saw Cabe Whitman. He's a loyal listener to the show on the radio there on 560 The Team Sports Radio in Columbia. He says, how do I listen to Spreecast Live? Well, a couple of ways. TigerNet.com has the link up there, and typically we have it on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. We don't tonight, but I did drop the link out on Twitter for you, Cade, so hopefully you're joining us now, and I see we got a nice little room. By the way, for the people in the room, we actually have a chat room that's set up over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com that we use during the radio show since we don't do it on Spreecast. And the thing I do like about Spreecast, for example, is some of the things that I can do when I'm reading through at the break, and I could take some of your thoughts and put them into the program. And that's another reason that I think the Sunday night show, TigerNet Talk, is going to be really good this year, because you'll be able to, if you don't want to call in, 803-450-0086. Phone lines are available right now if you want to call in and talk about your Clemson Tigers. But you can also put questions into what they call the screen queue. It's right down below the chat, and we will definitely talk about the things that you want to talk about here on the program as well. But Martavis Bryant, okay, now remember, Bryant on the depth chart backing up Sammy Watkins on the boundary side, now playing that 9 spot on the former spot held by DeAndre Hopkins. What was always unique to me about this move is that, for me, the prototypical guy on the outside who you would want is a guy like Martavis Bryant, somebody who's a little bit bigger, and Bryant's gone out there and he's really proven that he can run so well. I mean, he's a kid. He's like 6'5", 200-plus pounds, fast as lightning. Was in the doghouse with the coaching staff for a while. Didn't get to go to the bowl game. I think that was the big wake-up call for him. And he's continued to really push himself. Now, there's a couple of reasons behind this. One, some people have said there's no way this kid could possibly turn pro after this year. But I don't believe that. I think he's got the tools and the skill set that if he puts together a season anywhere remotely close to even what Sammy Watkins did last year, he'll probably think about taking that leap. It'll be a risk at that point, if he did those same numbers in 12 or 13 games. I mean, Sammy Watkins did the numbers that he put up in about 7 games. Um, so all in all, you're talking about a little bit of a difference there. But he's a kid who, if he could put up some tremendous numbers, really start to get his name out there, make some highlight grabs, maybe run by some defenders and really look spectacular, you'll start to see his name generated as a guy who could maybe go in the third, fourth round of the NFL draft, and that might be enough to get him out. Martavis Bryant wasn't the lead guy in wanting to go to study hall and take care of the things that you have to take care of as part of a student athlete. And hopefully he's kind of gotten that down now. But what's interesting is coming into the season, he was listed on the depth chart, or coming into the fall camp, listed on the depth chart behind Sammy Watkins. I said on my show a number of times over on Clemson Sports Talk that it wouldn't surprise me because of Sammy's knowledge of the playbook at the other wide receiving position to see him move around some this year. And that even indicates to me maybe that something we just talked about, I believe it was on Friday's show, could have been Thursday's. All the day, the shows, the 2-hour shows kind of run together for me. So many of you who are there remember probably better than I do. But the wrinkle that we saw with Sammy Watkins against LSU at the running back spot, some people thought, was it a gimmick? Is it something that's going to go away? Should it stay? Should it not because he was injured? The more you see this talk now that maybe Bryant's starting to move over there into that number 9 spot and Sammy might slip into the 2 receiver position more frequently again, it makes me wonder just a little bit where we're going to see Sammy Watkins this year. I mean, if he's got a real grasp on the playbook at his old position, like many of us believe he does, and he's started to pick up more and more on that boundary side at the 9 spot, you've got such a talented core with Sharon Peak there, with Adam Humphries. You've got such a great group. Jamon Hopper is another guy who so many people feel like you're going to be talking about week 6, week 7 of the season and saying, wow, did you see what he was able to do? Have you seen how this young man's got that elusive, game-changing ability that maybe we haven't seen at Clemson in a while? That's not to take anything away from Sammy Watkins, but I think what people are talking about more is that juke, like maybe you'd see from a C.J. Spiller who could take on 2 guys and really break them down. Sammy Watkins has killed a lot of people with just his sheer speed. I mean, he's just a blazer. But I do wonder if some of this that you're seeing is not so much maybe Bryant to the 9 position and how valuable that might be for Clemson, because I think it would be huge. I think Sammy Watkins showed at the 2 spot that he can be a great wide receiver, and I don't know that he's had the opportunity to prove himself on the outside and running some fly patterns and really getting out down the field like you might expect on that outside edge. The matchups might be more in a guy like Martavis Bryant's favor with the height advantage that he'll have typically over most of the safeties, most of the cornerbacks in the secondary that you'll see in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Not a unique change, not something that I thought we wouldn't see. I think the biggest surprise for me is that we're seeing it this quickly. And maybe that's just a testament to the fact that Sammy Watkins is possibly going to move around a little bit more here and there. By the way, Chris, Craig, Brent, RC, David, Clemson Swag, Todd, TigerNet, Ryan, Jesse, Phillip, and David, and everybody else who's hanging out with us, thank you. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Again, hashtag CST560. We'll try to follow that on Twitter as we've got one computer still down trying to pull all the pieces together here at the Palatial 108 Studios, and really excited about hopefully having you all who are listening to the show this evening with us Monday through Friday on Sports Radio 560 The Team. You can listen on iHeart and on 560theteam.com. The guys at TigerNet are going to help us out by putting the show up to remind you on the front page over there. Click the chat rooms over on ClemsonSportsTalk.com, and I know that's probably real confusing for you, but once you click that live tab and come on in, there'll be plenty of people hanging out. You can chat with them much like you can right here in this chat room. And Brent Blackwell writes in, Brent says, Swan, you know these Georgia fans really believe that their wide receiving core is better than ours. What? Brent, my man, I tell you what, the Bulldogs have a lot to be excited about, but I'll give you the rundown when we come back on whether or not I think their wide receiving core is better than yours. There are some circumstances they may be, and we'll explain all that after these messages. Stay with us. TigerNet Talk rolls along right here live Sunday nights, 9 p.m. on the front page of TigerNet.com.
I wanted to be just like Jeff Davis when I grew up, tackling Seminoles and Bulldogs, playing football in the mud. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981.
Tired of waiting hours to fill a prescription? Have problems getting to the pharmacy and don't trust a faceless mail order service? The good folks at Chapin Pharmacy have been serving the Chapin area for 17 years quickly and with a smile. They also offer free delivery to Chapin and the surrounding areas. Request refills 24 hours a day on the phone, online at chapinrx.com, or with the RX2Go app. In Chapin at 138 Amex Ferry Road or 345-1114. Discover what a pharmacy should be. Chapin Pharmacy. Since 1968, Carolina Forklift opened in Columbia, South Carolina. 45 years and one name change later, CMH Services still delivers top quality equipment and industrial storage systems. For new and used forklifts, rentals, or on-site repair of existing forklifts, call CMH Services at 1-800-922-6709. With branches in Columbia, Greenville, and Charleston, CMH Services is South Carolina's home for material handling equipment. Visit them online at cmhservices.net.
There's something about looking and feeling classy that everyone enjoys. Check out Edisto Outdoors, an apparel brand inspired by our southern animals and environment. These shirts feature soft touch prints that will keep you looking your best in all types of weather. Look for Edisto Outdoors coming soon to many fine retailers across the state, or visit www.edistooutdoors.com. Technical, comfortable, livable.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote. 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that. Enjoy the Clemson football season at Seasons by the Lake Restaurant. Tiger Tailgate on the Terrace at Seasons Restaurant will be held every Clemson football game day, rain or shine, home or away, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for those day games and noon to midnight for the evening kickoffs. Enjoy a large screen TV, a Bloody Mary and mimosa bar, specialty drinks, and a great tailgate menu, all on the Seasons Terrace. For more information, call 656-7444. or visit their Facebook page, facebook.com/seasonsbythelake. I hope to see you on the terrace.
Now, Clemson Tiger fans have a show of their own.
The thing that you like if you're a Clemson fan is that as good as this offense is, there are a lot of teams that you can just flat out go out on the field and outscore.
It's Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan. Weeknights 6 to 8 on 560 The Team.
We turned up, we run down the hill, we so turned up. Rock the rock, hit the field, no competition, we first up. Offense is too fast, defense ain't scared, boy. Line up against me, we drop you on your head, boy. Death Valley be jumping, whole stadium pumping. Best fans in the whole nation, and damn right we love them. CLEMSON, we Clemson, we ballin', we all in.
Turn up. Welcome back into the program. TigerNet Talk rolling along Sunday nights, 9 p.m. That's where we'll be. This is where we'll be hanging out. We'll do a little bit of a shorter show over the next couple of weeks, but then once we start getting a little bit closer to football season, these shows will hit that 52-minute and 50-second mark, just like the old Clemson Hotline episodes did. Remember, you can always call in the show if you want to. The phone lines are open. 1-803-450-0086, and we're going to get to Brent's question about the Georgia wide receivers in a minute, but we're going to send it out to the phone lines right now. Welcome in to TigerNet Talk. You're up.
Hey, this is Roger. How are you?
Hey, Roger, I'm good,
Morning,
man. I got to turn you up a little bit. Sorry, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, on the computer, I had the computer, both your site and the computer wide open, but I had a hard time hearing.
Really? I don't see anything wrong visually, but you never can tell. You never can tell with these things.
Now, I'm not I try to read into the way when people do things instead of always looking at, oh, my gosh, Watkins can't take over this one slot. They're moving him back to his old. I don't look at that. I in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, Watkins may be more comfortable over there. Bryant may be really impressed. And how are you reading this? Because this is this is a big move.
It doesn't concern me though, Roger, and I tell you because I felt like from the get-go that Bryant was probably the better guy out there, but it was more of a move for the necessity. And maybe, you always think when you come into these things about how you push a kid's buttons. How do you get a kid motivated? What do? A lot of times what coaches will do, they'll put them down a little bit on the depth chart. Now, when you compare a guy like Martavis Bryant to Sharon Peak, I mean, these two guys I think are very similar. They're very close as far as, in my mind, playing time and what they probably deserve at this point. I think we all know that the feature wide receiver on this team this year is Sammy Watkins. And I would ask people this. If DeAndre Hopkins had returned – oh, by the way, I think we fixed the sound issue, Roger. What it was is when I had to do the reinstall, I never upped the volume on Spreecast. So now I got that set. So everybody's saying it sounds a little bit better. But anyway, sorry for that problem a little bit earlier in the show. But, if you had –
But what I was looking at is they had Watkins over there at Hopkins slot.
Right.
All right, well, now apparently they're moving Watkins back, which is fine. I kind of look at it, okay, they're going to use him more in the running game, the same way that they was running him across. But also is Bryant looking that much better? It's not Bryant and Teague, to me. It's everybody thought, as far as us fans that we listen to talk radio. We don't know the day in and day out. We thought Watkins was moving over. But do you think that's a case of they want to use Watkins more in running also, along with receiving? And Bryant's proving himself enough. You know what I'm saying?
No. Well,
I don't look negative at it.
Well, and I think too, Roger, I think you really want to have your best players out on the field. And I just wonder if – and I'm not saying Sammy's not going to play out there on the boundary because I think, he could have his moments out there for sure. And I thought what a great thing, when Sammy comes out, then you're running Martavis Bryant in there anyway. It didn't really concern me in the least when we first heard that was kind of going to be the scenario. But now – if it is Bryant who gets in there, maybe it was all about challenging him a little bit. And I'm okay with that because I still think as good as Adam Humphries is, I think the three best wide receivers on this team right now are obviously Bryant, Peak, and Watkins. And if you can get those three on the field at the same time, why not take advantage of it?
Yeah, I would throw Humphries. I know he didn't have all the yardage, but the guy has sure hands. He kind of reminds me of Wes Welker. He's not afraid to get dirty. He's not afraid to cross the middle.
Not at all. Not at all.
But you know something? This is as good for Georgia to have to adjust their. Those coaches have been studying Clemson, and okay. Sammy Watkins is moving over here, and now all of a sudden it's a bam bam, it's a change, and I'm thinking in my mind for Clemson, how does Clemson prepare for Georgia, do they prepare for all year long, or do they prepare for facing that faster pace against Alabama? You have no clue what they're going to come out with.
Well,
so
and
I
I don't
change the pace.
Yeah, and you know the offenses have such an advantage in this day and age. I mean, really, game one is the only game outside of a bowl game where the defense has a real chance to kind of key in. And the more wrinkles you throw into the brains of Todd Grantham, the defensive coordinator over at Georgia, the better at this point. I mean, if he's got to say, well, Watkins could be here, could be there, might be at the running back spot, we just don't know. That is definitely a wrinkle that you like to throw out there because of just how dynamic a playmaker Sammy Watkins can be.
Yeah. So does Clemson, and it's in the same ballpark. How do they prepare? Do they prepare for Mark Richt's offense, or do they prepare for Bobo's offense? You have not a clue.
Well, and I think
that's what we saw last year was Mark Richt up until the bowl game, and I think Mark Richt took the reins off Bobo a little bit and let him have at it.
Well, you know, and I'll let you get off the line, and I'll try and answer your question. But I'll tell you what I think, Roger, to be honest with you, and thank you for listening to the show and always calling in, especially during the week on the radio show when we're on the stream. That helps me out a lot when I get some calls there, too. The thing about Georgia's offense that scares me the most is obviously the dual-headed running back attack. And I know that many people are thinking Todd Gurley's going to continue to carry the load, much like he did the second half of the year for the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, he had a fantastic game against Alabama as well, and if you can rush the ball against Alabama the way he did, I think he had 120-some-odd yards against the Crimson Tide. I mean, he was just tremendous that evening. And so you look at those two guys, and if I'm the Clemson Tiger defense, if I'm Brent Venables right now, that is my main concern. My main concern is figuring out how to contain those two guys, and I think that Brent's question, not Venables, but Brent Blackwell in the chat room was about the Georgia wide receivers. And we had Anthony Dasher of UGA Sports on Clemson Sports Talk this past week to talk with him for just a few minutes about the Bulldogs. And, you know, what's so scary about them, I think, one is Malcolm Mitchell, the wide receiver. I mean, he is a fast guy. He's a lightning quick guy. He's a converted DB. And breakaway type speed, you know, a real burner there. And then they brought in another kid, the one that's kind of the big question mark. I wonder if he'll get the playbook, but Jonathan Rump. He's a JUCO transfer. They say this kid has just got all the tools to be a great wide receiver, 6'5", 200-some-odd pounds, a little bit bigger than even Martavis Bryant. He scares a lot of people when you look at where they'll be. And they also have Chris Conley, I believe, who was the spring game MVP, 6'3", 206 pounds. You let those two running backs start to get off. You start to let that play-action pass work, guys. And it doesn't matter if you believe Clemson's wide receivers are better physically, if they're better at route running, catching the football. If Clemson can't get their running game established, and that's one of our big question marks coming into this year, if we don't have a Todd Gurley, we don't have a Keith Marshall, and as much as we went out and tried to get them, we don't have that right now. My hope is that either A, we can have, Roger McDowell and DJ Howard and Zach Brooks be able to share the ball, but more importantly, I think if we could figure out if Tyshawn Dye's ankle is good, if he can come in and play immediately and get some playing time, be a big back for Clemson. I said this past week, and I've said it for a while now, and I think it's something we've got to be concerned about without Andre Ellington. I think we had to be concerned about it a little bit even with him, is just how frequently we utilize Taj Boyd to pick up key third and fourth down plays. This guy is an All-American quarterback. He's potentially got a chance this year by putting up great numbers to be in the Heisman Trophy mix. And the last thing you want to see happen is that there's a 3rd and 3 against South Carolina State in Game 2 in the first quarter, and we have to run Taj Boyd to pick it up for whatever reason, and he tweaks his shoulder. And then perhaps it's his throwing shoulder. I mean, this is not something you want to think about, but I think it's a realistic nature of how frequently he runs the ball. if there's some called plays here and there on first and second down and they're big running lanes, or maybe he rolls the pocket and can pick up 8 to 10 yards, that's good. But when we have to rely on Taj Boyd to pick up that key yardage, that's not good to keep the chains moving. And even though it's been effective, we've been fortunate. A lot of times Taj does a good job of he kind of turns his back to the defenders, which I think helps alleviate some of the big blows more to the front of his body and to the shoulders. It's not the end of the world by any means that we have to do that at this point. But at some point, whether it's before Georgia, whether it's after Georgia, whether it's at the midseason, we have to have a running back who can do that. Zach Brooks is a bigger running back, but doesn't appear to be. He seems he always looks a little bit smaller than DJ Howard to me on the field, but he's not. He's actually bigger than Howard. And then Roger McDowell, I mean, as I've said, he's got some nice moves, but he's not your guy that's going to hit the hole and move the pile for 3 yards. We got to have somebody outside of Taj Boyd who can move the pile. That's a serious issue for me, in my opinion. Now, I know we just had an issue with the camera in the chat room. Not sure what went on with that. Let's see if we can get that pulled back up. Gonna really try. Yeah, looks like we might have gone. Spreecast went out on us. So we're going to end the show like that, I guess, with the Spreecast going down. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, 6 to 8 p.m., Sports Radio 560 The Team in Columbia. Also on iHeartRadio and on 560theteam.com. You can catch our program. We definitely appreciate you being here with us this evening, and as always, look forward to spending a few hours with you here, or actually I guess about an hour it will be during the season with you here on TigerNet Talk as we prepare ourselves for the end of the year or the beginning of the football season. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here with the chat room. Sorry, I'm kind of mumbling. I see these guys talking about why they can't see me, and I don't know why they can't see me. So I'm trying to figure that out. Anyway, there we go. Now we're back. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure what happened, but we are back. Anyway, as I was saying, we're going to get out of here. Again, tune into the program, Clemson Sports Talk, on 560 The Team, also on iHeartRadio and 560theteam.com throughout the week. Thank you to the guys at TigerNet for putting it up and hosting this program each and every Sunday at 9 p.m. Going to be some 30-minute shows really until the beginning of football season. Then we'll do 52 minutes and 50 seconds. Talking about your favorite team, my favorite team, the Clemson Tigers. Remember, through the week, hashtag CST560. Follow us on Twitter. We are at Clemson Sports. Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. By the way, Clemson Swag in the chat room says, I won the national championship with Clemson on NCAA 14. Let's hope that Dabo Swinney can win the national championship with Clemson on the real NCAA 2014. How about that? We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for being here once again for another edition of TigerNet Talk. Episode number 188 is in the can. It'll be posted on TigerNet over the next few days. Appreciate you being here, and I look forward to speaking with you Monday through Friday. That's right, Clemson Sports Talk on Sports Radio 560, The Team. And as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!